Welcome back, everybody. Time for us to go behind the headlines. And today I saw a post come up on the Google News feed about another pot grower being sentenced to prison. And I was talking about this very subject with someone recently, and I can't remember when or what the context was, but I was pointing out how I don't really do stories on busts very often because it's not really news. It happens every day. Every day someone's going to prison. Someone's getting busted. And if I did a story every day on a bust, the news segment would be, 30 minutes long because there's just so many of them. And I was kind of remarking to my friend that, one of the things you can do, and you can play this game at home. Whenever you read of someone getting busted for growing marijuana and what terrible sentence they got handed down, go to your Google News, just news.google.com, type in the name of your county, and then child rape sentence. Like, if it was my home county, it's Multnomah County child rape sentence. And you will be astonished to find in almost every single case, a rapist getting a lower sentence than the person who was just sentenced for growing marijuana. And that was the case today when I was taking a look at some news out of Sacramento. And remember, we're talking about a marijuana grower being sentenced for harvesting a crop that adults wish to purchase. And he's going to spend years behind bars for a crime that now a majority of Americans don't think should even be a crime. And even if we do get legalization in California, when we get legalization in California in 2016, this guy will still be behind bars. We got to remember that as we legalize, there will still be people serving time for things that will no longer be crimes in our state and our country. So don't ever forget that. Let me read to you from CBS Sacramento. U.S. District Judge William Shub sentenced 44-year-old Uriel Ochoa-Espindola to 17 and a half years in prison for growing tens of thousands of marijuana plants in 3 different counties in California with his partners and shipping the product across the country with the help of commercial trucks, according to court documents. Espindola allegedly organized and directed hundreds of pounds of shipments to South Dakota, Colorado, Massachusetts, Washington, and North Carolina. Investigators seized 3 handguns and nearly 11,000 plants at the El Dorado County site. Court documents revealed that nearly 17,500 plants were seized from Placer County's grow site and another 2,000 marijuana plants at the Tehama County grow site. So, Mr. Ochoa-Espindola was sentenced to 17 and a half years for growing about 30,000 marijuana plants that they were able to find. And so he won't get out of prison until somewhere around 2031, close to November of 2030. Now, while he's in prison, he might get a chance to meet our next contestant, Marquise Montgomery. Using my time-honored technique of, he was just busted in El Dorado County, Placer County, Tehama County, I went to the Google News and I typed in El Dorado County child rape sentence, Placer County child rape sentence, and Tehama County child rape sentence. And also when I play this game, because there's so many results, I usually try to limit it to just a result that has been within the past season or so. The past 3 to 6 months, right? Because if you go way, way back, I'm sure you can find, anything, right? But within the past 6 months of this guy getting sentenced to 17 and a half years in prison for 30,000 marijuana plants, I found this story from Fox Sacramento in December of 2012. Marquise Montgomery has pleaded no contest to charges of raping and impregnating a severely mentally and physically handicapped woman and causing great bodily harm. The great bodily harm would be the impregnation. He faces 8 years in prison for the rape, plus 5 more for causing great bodily harm. 13 years total. So if our grower does meet Marquise, he'll have to say goodbye to Marquise sometime in 2026. He'll still be doing 5 more years of his sentence for growing pot plants when the guy who raped the blind, mentally handicapped, in a wheelchair, physically disabled woman, the guy who raped her will be out 5 years sooner. Or even, actually, Possibly, probably sooner than that, because California is beset by prison overcrowding and all sorts of federal court decisions that mandate early release for some prisoners. Not pot-growing prisoners, however, because pot-growing prisoners are sentenced under mandatory minimums that make early release impossible. And this guy, this Marquise Montgomery, he was like a nurse's assistant, an orderly, if you will, at the care facility where this woman was raped. And they didn't even know she was raped until she was about 6 months along and they could see she was pregnant. That guy gets less time than a pot grower. There is no logical, moral, or ethical reason that should be so, and there's nothing we can really say about it but to smoke some weed.
Agreed. The bullshit world we live in, let's try and forget some of that.
Yeah, you almost need weed to deal with how badly weed is treated.
Absolutely. Have you ever
We'll be right back. Got new Cheech and Chong music coming up. Stay tuned.
He would send you South Carolina, then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
Hey everybody, welcome. It's Danny Danko from High Times Magazine, and I'm here with Mr. Kyle Cushman, and we're talking about integrated pest management. Now Kyle, I see you're using these yellow sticky traps. What's the purpose of those?
It is just a good part of routine IPM, integrated pest management, along with neem oil, regular spraying of neem oil every second or third day. And it's just good to keep down, to prevent an infestation before it happens.
Okay.
So it's kind of like that canary in the coal mine thing, where it'll let you know ahead of time by seeing how many bugs there if you need to employ something stronger, if you're going to need to use biological controls or some chemical insecticides.
Wow, cool. And